like Oprah. I will be the host of Everyday Christmas. Get trappy your wish list. I probably pull like Angelina and Brad Pitt and adopt the.
All right, from the amazing iPod of Attorney Ted London, we come to you on this wonderful Thursday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the legal line with Attorney Theodore London. As I said in the last segment, Attorney London has been focused on a series of shows that he's been doing over the last several weeks, focusing on, number one, black unity, and black unity from top to bottom, just not in terms of us being together the way we think, but how we support each other, our community, supporting black-owned businesses, and encouraging each other to go into business to help build a better foundation in our neighborhoods. Right. Nothing says a foundation like having your own business in the neighborhood that you live in. And with that, I introduce you, the star of today's show, Attorney Theodore London.
Yay!
Oh my God.
Standing ovation in the studio. The hunk of all hunks.
Everyone. Well, again, let me start by saying, again, it's such a pleasure and a privilege to join Attorney Kim, Maddie every week, 3:30 on these Thursdays. As I was sharing with Attorney Kim before we went on the air, reflecting back on your last segment about handsome, masculine men, as I was telling Attorney Kim, is there is nothing more masculine and handsome, I would suspect, to a woman than an African American man who owns his own business.
I would say that's probably true. Women find business owners attractive. That's aphrodisiac material, isn't it?
It's very true.
Yeah.
Got it. And so we wanted to create more of these handsome, attractive men for the ladies in our community. So let's get started.
Let's get started, man. Why don't you explain to our listeners what you are doing with this series?
Again, this is a 4-part series entitled African American Owned Businesses in Chicagoland. And again, we started the segment with Mr. Eugene Delanato, the publisher of Black Pages International. Yeah. Mr. Delanato shared with us some of the great history of African American owned businesses in Chicagoland really over the decades. And so it was a great start with Mr. Delanato. Last week we had Alderman Michelle Harris, who came on and shared information with us about how African American owned businesses can do business with the city of Chicago. And one of the things that she shared with us about how businesses should and could get certified as minority business enterprises. What that does is that allows African American owned businesses to do cities as subcontractors with prime contractors in the billions of dollars of contracts that the city has for businesses. So again, that was great information from Alderman Michelle Harris. Listen, I'm very proud to announce today's guest, who's going to share some vital information with our community about how to manage, operate, and finance businesses, and that is the one and only Accountant Nathan Kirkwood. Now, before we get to Accountant Kirkwood, again, many of you know Nathan Kirkwood as a great accountant. Mr. Kirkwood is located at 1942 East 79th Street. He can be reached at 773-768-0680. That's 773-768-0680. Now, again, Mr. Kirkwood has been in business for over 45 years. He is the accountant to many successful African American owned businesses. And he is here today to share some of his wisdom about, again, how to create and how to manage an enduring African American owned business. Mr. Kirkwood, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
It's my pleasure.
Man, so 45 years ago, what was the black business climate like? What was that like, right? 1973-ish or something?
74.
74?
Okay.
What was it like for you getting started and kind of surveying the business community and the needs of the African American community at that time?
Well, first of all, in the community, on 79th Street, all of the businesses were black.
Yeah.
All of them were black. And we supported each other through the 79th Street Businessmen's Association and through the South Shore Chamber of Commerce. And we just helped each other out, and that's what we did. And we shared the following little tidbits. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. That's the first thing that we did. Hire people not just because they're looking for a job, but hire people that you feel as though you're going to train and work with and grow with like family.
Okay.
Those were the principles that most of the businesses operated under.
Accountant Kirkwood, you know what? One of the things that's important for me to make sure that the listeners get is information about a couple of things. One, how African American businesses can go about financing business, and what kind of issues do African American business owners have?
Well, it starts with family. You'd be surprised at how many family members, the older people especially, have money.
Yeah.
Have plenty of money. And all you have to do is just, that's a starting point, approach them and ask them, come up with an idea, but let it be a sound idea that you've thought out and that you will put some skin in the game, so to speak, yourself. You know?
That's a good point. Barry Gordy borrowed money from his sister.
That's right.
And Accountant Kirkwood and I were talking about how John Johnson.
That's right.
Mr. Kirkwood, tell us about that story quickly.
John Johnson got $500 from his mother, you know, and that's the way he got Johnson's publishing company started, you know. And it's just the idea that that's a starting point, but it's nice if you can save some money yourself, have an idea, and you know, I would just do like this: go to parents and say to them, "Look, Mom, Dad, I've saved up so much money, and I want to try this, and you know, let's see if we can work it together as a family."
And or grandparents as well.
That's right, grandparents. Those are the ones that really have the money.
Well, you would know Accountant Kirkwood.
When they say they have more money than they have time.
Right.
Oftentimes that is what they tell us as well.
And the interesting thing about it is that it's something that you're going to get eventually anyway if you're a family-structured family, you know. But that's a starting point. The next thing is this: you think about having an idea, putting it on paper, working it out, and then you go to the bank. And but be prepared. Be prepared. I used to always say when I was a banker, I'd say always come into the bank with your idea, with the fact that you're showing them that you have some equity and you're putting some skin in the game, and if you have some family investors, and then from the standpoint of knowing what you're going to be facing when you get to the bank. Every bank is going to ask you to fill out an application, and I always tell people it's here. It's nothing like going to the bank and getting all this stuff ahead of time and then coming back. You don't go into the bank and start filling out stuff and you don't know what you're filling out, because the way that all these applications are set up, you work it from the back and go forward. Whatever is in the back of the application gets pushed over to the front of the application, because the nuts and bolts are in the back, and then you transfer all of those to the front. Then you also have to think about this. Everyone is interested in, did you file your taxes? And that's the thing, that's what makes me so very, very valuable. Because they all have to come into me and bring in, and I tell people this here, on your tax returns, and in fact when we prepare tax returns, we always tell people this, that you have to show people that you make money to get money. If you're not showing, if you've never made any money, it's going to be hard for someone to give you some of my money, because my money is in the bank, as well as all the other people that bank at the bank. Their money is in there. A prudent conservator of money, the bank, is not going to lend you money if you show that you never made any money. So those are things to think about. But if you can start, if you've never made any money and you're just getting started, start with family, start with savings that you have yourself, then you don't need to go to the bank. So you go from there. And I always tell people this here, I often get the question about the people coming in asking me for the loopholes. I say, that's not important. The important thing is, can you make money? Can you make money? If you can make money, then we can talk about the loopholes, the tax advantages, and all that good stuff. But first of all, have an idea, and it's got to be an idea that's going to make you some money.
Well, one of the things that we know many of the other communities are big at self-funding their
Correct.
businesses.
Correct.
If you look at the Indian population,
That's right.
Of course, Jewish population,
The Arab
community, and all of these races and nationalities have businesses in our communities.
Yeah.
So that would also seem to suggest to me, Accountant Kirkwood, that African American people, families are not pooling their resources
They're not.
to open, start, create, and even purchase businesses.
When I first got started, most of the clients I got came from the church. I put an ad in every church bulletin on the south side. I put an ad in there, and that's where I got most of my money. Most of the clients that I had coming in were my church members. If they see you in church every Sunday and you're running a business, and you hound your business as such, like, for example, when I say hound your business, we have regular hours. They don't deviate. We have people that have the Kirkwood philosophy. I've branded my name. My name is on you. If you come through that door, it's on every employee that is servicing me. In fact, many people ask me, is that family members? And I say, no, it's not family members. They're just, well, he said they seem just like you. And I say, well, that's the way they're trained.
One other thing I want to get to, and again, Matt and Attorney Kim, you can ask questions. I just want to get to this. Accountant Kirkwood, tell us about how African American people support African American businesses. So often we hear African American people are discouraged from starting businesses because oftentimes we hear from our own family members and community members that African American people will not support African American business. Speak to that, please.
It's not true. Because you're soured from one situation does not mean that you should castigate the entire race as it relates to businesses. We can't make everybody happy, but we try our best to make them happy. When they leave out of there, at least one thing, they know that Kirkwood or somebody representing Kirkwood has given his best and his all. And so therefore we don't lose people because of a bad situation. I tell anyone that if you treat people a certain way, black businesses, I'm right there on 79th Street. I have never had a break-in. I've never had a problem.
Likewise for me on 87th Street.
I've never had
even when I was on 75th Street.
And I count on my people supporting me.
And they do, don't they?
And they have, my files are busting over with clients. It's just the way it goes.
So once you get the business, and
Yes.
let's say you get the money together, one of the issues that people run into is how they bookkeep. And how do you remain solvent? From an accountant, what are some of the keys to, making sure your business actually prospers?
Well, I just picked up a new business, and the first thing the gentleman said was that the person that he had before did not use empathy. And the best way is you have to put yourself in the person's shoes. I structure my pricing. I structure my pricing to the extent that I try to think about how I did when I first got started. That's what I try to do. And I handle it from that standpoint. And I believe that you should think about growing with the person. Give them a discount. Help them out. Help them to, and I bend over backwards, and I tell the staff, bend over backwards to someone to help them out. That's the most important thing. And as far as it's kind of funny you mentioned about the bookkeeping, because when I first got started, I employed the simple thing of keep it simple, stupid. Kiss it, keep it simple, stupid. For some people that are not that sophisticated, we had the 10 envelope system. I'd say you put this in this envelope, that in that envelope, that in that envelope. Try to minimize it to 10 envelopes, okay? And then bring it to me, and then I'll deal with it from there. Now we use the QuickBooks, and we use the all the other sophisticated means, but you work with the people that are there. You work with the clientele, and I love salt of the earth people. That's the guy that comes in there and he doesn't have his nails polished like I do. He comes in there, he's got the dirt and the grime, and he was a working guy. I looked up, and one of the biggest clients I got was a construction guy. And he made $480,000 his first year just doing construction work. He had his own construction company. And it's interesting how you have so many people that are just out there that all they need is some structure. He knew how to pour cement. He knew how to have his people handle nails and etc. And do the carpentry. But he just didn't have the sophistication.
Right.
So when he came into me, I got down with it. That's the way that I do everybody. Every client that comes in, I walk with the kings and I walk with the people down on the particular level. I was mentioning to Attorney London that the funniest client that I got and the biggest client I got was the Drake Hotel. They just picked up the yellow pages. They were colorblind.
Right.
The guy didn't realize that I was black, and he needed some help. And he looked in the pages and he saw that he was an accountant. He tried. I sent a rookie, a guy that had just started with me that just passed, unfortunately.
Say his name.
Kerry Ison. Kerry Ison was my main guy, my main go-to guy at that time. He was just a fresh kid out of college, and you know, I sent him. He picked up the phone. He answered the phone. I sent him down. He took care of the business, and he took care of the business just like my son does right now. My son, he's just like a clone. He takes care of the business as far as everything is concerned.
You know, Attorney London is on this mission to try to reinvigorate the African American community. Much of what you talked about was going on in the 70s. Is there anything you look at today, and when you think back to when you first got in business, that might be absent right now, that we need to kind of focus on?
Well, the biggest thing we need to focus on is this. Corporate America has swallowed up the talent, the real talent that we have. And everyone is coming in and they want to be a $100,000 person, et cetera, working for XYZ, big corporation. What they need to do is this. I always say to them this here: get that talent, get that, make that $100,000, but always think about reaching back and bringing someone else up to your level and starting your own business. That's what needs to be done. You know, we don't need everybody, because I tell these people every day, I tell people that come into me, when corporate America gets through with you, they're gonna let you go. My son is a good example of it. My son is in South Carolina. One day he was opening up. He went to Illinois, full scholarship, top of his class. He worked for me, and I looked up and one day he said, I got an offer to go down to Blue Cross and Blue Shield. He had a chance to go down there, and he went down there to them, and they hired him for $60,000 plus a $5,000 signing bonus. Who ever heard of that? He's not an athlete, but he got a signing bonus. That's because he was leaving Chicago to go down South Carolina. Okay, he gets down there, and he's having trouble with his drawer, and he pulled it out. And he pulled out his drawer, and in the back of the drawer were check stubs of the guy whose place he took. The guy was making $122,000. Now what they do is this: they will hire two young persons to take the place of an older person. And they will after so long, that's what they'll do. And I said, remember one thing, Jonathan, one day they're gonna do the same thing to you. Yeah. Know what your dad does. You can always come back here and help your brother Nathan as far as the business is concerned. There's always a spot in the business for him. But I said, learn what you can learn, but never get complacent. That's what needs to be done. What needs to be done is that lack of that complacency. We don't need to have that. We need to be thinking about the next horizon, and we need to think about starting our own businesses, because that's the way. I love hiring people.
You know what, Accountant Kirkwood, I would like to talk about the earnings of business owners. Talk to us about how business owners are really the beneficiaries of the money that they generate by virtue of being business owners.
Well, first of all, I get a chance to set up my own retirement plan.
Right.
That's the first thing. Get a chance to set up my own retirement plan. I get a chance to come and go as I please. I get a chance to enjoy the company that I'm in right now. My office runs itself now. I don't have to be there. The office runs itself. After 45 years, it's supposed to, you know. It's the freedom of movement that you have. But, you know, I remember the days that I worked 15, 20 hours, to get there. Now, I have these younger people, and I have some seasoned people that are working there. My office manager started at 16, and she's been there 30 years, I'm sorry, 16. She's been there 30 years. The other young lady, I got her from Northern Trust. and she's been there almost 20 years.
So I would say this is some of the benefit that you're talking about, though, Attorney London. What are the benefits of being a business owner? Not just the flexibility and freedom that Mr. Kirkwood is talking about.
That is important, though, man.
No. I'm just saying, but it
Very,
also
very
sounds
important.
like it sounds like though employing people in the community and
Yes.
having this sense of responsibility to the neighborhood. You're talking about somebody who's been working with you since 16 years old. I'm assuming you helped this person raise a
investment in her
family,
life.
right?
Yeah.
And,
Not only helping them, but it's just the idea that they're like clones. They're my clones. I bought a building at 25. My secretary bought a building at 25.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just fascinating. Whatever I know, I share
Share
it
with
with
them.
them.
Yeah.
And that is wonderful when
That's
you get a
key.
chance to share this with the people that you work with, and you all are trying to one goal, and that is service. And that's the key thing about being in business, is that if you forget about everything else and just think about service, then you will be successful.
Wow, that's amazing. The Attorney London and I were talking about today, man, how you need more time, and I'll tell you, this is a prime example of it. Attorney London and Accountant Kirkwood, please give out your phone number again if anybody listening wants to call in your services.
77, and that's what they've done in the past when I've been on Attorney London. When I get back to the office, the phone is jumping off the hook.
There you go.
773-768-0680.
773-768-0680. That's Accountant Nathan Kirkwood, Kirkwood & Associates.
So wonderful.
Gentlemen, amazing. Always supporting black businesses and supporting entrepreneurs in our community. This series by Attorney London is going to help build a stronger foundation in the African American business community, no doubt. Thank you, Attorney London.
See you next
Looking
week.
forward to next week.
Yes, indeed.
As always, guys, when we return, Karen Yarbrough is going to be in studio with us this year. All right, Cook County Clerk Karen Yarbrough setting the record straight right here live on WVON, y'all.